In New York City, there are about as many stray cats as there are domesticated cats, that being about 500,000 each. Stray cats have been a major and ongoing concern and topic for debate, especially in residential areas, very notably on college campuses. As a college student myself, I have heard complaints from multiple friends and acquaintances who live on campus at their schools. Some of these complaints being about the cats being pests, but primarily about the school's strict rules that restrict and punish feeding or housing of the strays. As a cat owner myself, the topic interests me, not only from the perspective of kind students trying to help the animals, but from an ecological perspective to analyze what's best for the ecosystems and the animals, and also from the school standpoint on how cats can cause difficulties and issues that make the school run less efficiently. While feral cats do live outdoors on their own, cats' general status as domesticated animals generally invites more human kindness, as well as cats being more trusting towards humans than other animals. With my concern for the animals and my interest in the different school guidelines, I decided to do further research in the topic. I wanted to find out how different people see the stray cat issue and how much of an issue it even is. I wanted to see how different schools go about solving the problem and different potential solutions before I made an argument on the morality of the matter. To begin my research, I reached out to a friend who lived on a campus at a nearby school, SUNY Stony Brook. This is what she had to say. Hi, how are you doing?
I'm good, how are you?
Okay, so what's your name?
Melissa Bobea.
Okay, and you go to school here at Stony Brook?
Yes, I do.
You live on campus?
Yes.
Okay, so what is your experience with stray cats on the campus?
So there is a good number of stray cats on campus. They are around in the same way that there's other animals around on campus. We have a lot of deer, bunnies, and squirrels on campus as well. And overall, I see them, I don't really interact with them, I don't want to scare them off, and there actually is a Stony Brook University club dedicated to kind of looking over the stray cats on campus. They don't really, they just make sure that they're okay and that they're fed, and yeah.
Okay, so what's the school's policy as far as student interaction and taking care of them?
So for the cats, you're not allowed to feed any of the Stony Brook stray cats unless you are affiliated with the Stony Brook University's cat club, because there's specific designated areas around campus. I believe there's one on West Side, there's one on Roth, and these are all different places on campus where it's allowed and permitted by the university for the cats to be fed, and only to be fed by members part of the university club. So if you're just a normal student, you're not really allowed to feed the cats if you're not part of the club, but they do permit domesticated animals to be walked and like interacted with on campus. That's different.
Okay, so how do you feel about their policies?
I think the policy is good. I think it works because it's not too heavily enforced, where if you're a student and you see a cat, you can get away with feeding it if you genuinely want to help the cat out, but it is said, so it kind of stops students from giving them food that might hurt the cat or might make them sick. So yeah.
Okay, so what do you think that the university could do differently?
I'm not sure on how much funding that the cat club gets, but I'm sure that they could use more funding to make sure, or even do some type of fundraiser or collab with a local organization to make sure that some of the cats get homes. And I'm sure that some students would also like to adopt some cats, but I think that is something already implemented in the school.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So, one major argument for controlling cat populations are the negative implications that new predators may have on the existing ecosystems in the campus area. One student account doesn't say very much. However, the study from Public Preferences for Free-Ranging Domestic Cat Management Options ran surveys and found that students believed that stray cats not being native to an area and their status as predators were not, quote, legitimate reasons for population control. While students generally don't mind the animals, the essay Stray Cats Management in University Technology Malaysia argued that, quote, the increased number of stray cats not only brings public nuisance and sanitation problems to universities, it has affected the image as a higher education center. Some universities undeniably take issues with the animals and the effect that they have on the image of the school and the campus. Different methods of controlling the animals that universities employ include trap and removal, trap and euthanize, and trap, neuter, return. However, most colleges, more specifically New York State and private universities that I looked into, aren't very transparent about their policies, making it quite difficult to find out what specific universities do without being a student who attends the school. Nonetheless, looking into these methods, starting with trap and remove, there are many companies that offer this service, including Fur and Feathers Wildlife Control. From the company's website, they share many reasons for the service, including the fact that feral cats are predators to endangered species, they reproduce at a very high rate, and they carry many diseases that can be transferred to humans, such as ringworm, mumps, and cat scratch fever, just to name a few. This method of animal control would be low cost and moral, as it doesn't endanger the animals, but it doesn't fix a lot of the problems that the company addressed, but rather just moves the problem somewhere else. A stray cat will be a predator to an endangered bird species, whether it's on a college campus or not. Another potential way of animal control is trap, neuter, return, or TNR. This method can be quite costly. While sterilizing a single cat isn't the most expensive procedure in the world, the prices will start to add up when sterilizing possibly hundreds of cats. In spite of that, this method may offer the best management and control over the population numbers in a relatively moral way. The essay, Managing Feral Cats on Universities' Campuses, How Many Are There and Is Sterilization Having an Effect, by Amanda L. Jones and Colleen D. Downs, looks into animal sterilization to see if it has an impact. It finds that sterilization is quite effective in the long term, even if only a relatively small amount of animals are neutered. This is the best option for universities. While sterilization of animals could be morally questionable, it is extremely common among pet owners, and not only does it prevent future generations, it also calms males, which are generally more aggressive and can be a bigger problem for humans. As well as hiring TNR services, schools could potentially encourage students to adopt and care for cats and sterilize them themselves. A 2012 essay, Catfight, The TNR Wars, by Robert Schmidt, takes a look at our third solution, TE, TE standing for trap and euthanasia. This is pretty unarguably the best method if a school's goal is to strictly remove a cat's population from an area. Needless to say, before bringing up moral concerns for the university itself to consider, any implementation of euthanizing wild animals would very likely result in backlash from students, especially if the school isn't transparent about how they choose to deal with the animals, as I found many schools are. Melissa, the student interviewed earlier, said that she and many of her classmates would not stand for cat euthanization when asked. After reading about these three potential options, I came to the conclusion that TNRing is the best method, offering a moral way of population control, minimizing negative impacts cats have on surrounding ecosystems, being beneficial to the cats themselves, and mitigating sanitation and health concerns that strays bring to schools. Returning to the subject of sterilizing feral cats, the organization Alley Cat Allies had this to say on the subject. Quote, with proper resources and information, caring individuals can learn how to trap feral cats for neutering. Trap, neuter, return stabilizes colonies, no new kittens. It also improves cats' lives, they are healthier, and do not experience the strains of mating or pregnancy. Alley Cat Allies are a credible organization with a score of 93 out of 100 from Charity Navigator. Alley Cat Allies are actually perhaps best known for being the organization to introduce the trap, neuter, release policy. Universities should focus any funding they receive for the stray cat issue towards TNRing the cats, and secondarily possibly feeding and offering clean water for the cats. While house cats are domesticated animals, ferals on college campuses can generally live self-sufficiently and shouldn't be dependent on human care. Focusing funding on TNRing the animals can be better for the animals, keeping them from growing a possible dependency on humans. Action on population control is necessary, despite students generally not having a problem with the strays. It is mostly necessary for two reasons, those being the problems that are brought to ecosystems that cats aren't native to, as they are predators, and the illnesses that can be shared with humans, as students on campuses are much more likely to feed and pet a feral cat than they would be to, say, a squirrel or pigeon. TNRing is a very effective method for colleges that want to humanely deal with the animals while also being very effective for colleges with stricter policies that want to focus mainly on lowering cat populations. Trap, neuter, return can encourage endangered bird wildlife, prevent illnesses from being spread to humans, and calm male cats to potentially decrease fighting among cats and even violence towards students. TNRing is better than the other options, as euthanization is immoral and would remove cat wildlife and biodiversity completely, and removal wouldn't solve any problems that cats bring. It would simply make it a problem for someone else to deal with. Universities that don't already should bring trap, neuter, return policies to their schools and focus funding primarily on this method. Thank you.